Hello my crafty friends, and here we are again with Junk Journal July UK, and today's prompt is upcycle. Now, any of the pages we've done so far could be considered in this prompt, because we're all reusing bits and bobs that we've got, like these doilies from yesterday. They've been coffee stained and upcycled. So any of the pages we've done could be considered as upcycled. For me, it's just using stuff that I have got lying around and I'm just giving it a different purpose. So today I've gathered together some bits and bobs. I have some old wallpaper that I really love. I love this, and actually I really like the colours and the patterns in this. So I've used that as my starting base, and I've got an envelope. I've got some old collage paper. I've got a page out of a Flower Fairy garden journal kind of thing. Some bits and bobs, and then I've got these lovely images, and I've picked all the yellow ones, and my friend Kat gave these to me from her aunt's house that they're currently sorting. And on each one, she's actually put a little sticker with the Latin name of the plant that's in the picture, or she's written on it who's done the painting. And in that pile of images, there was 2 pages from calendars. So this one's from 2011 and this one's from 2007. So I'm guessing they were a bit like the Dairy Diaries, and she's just pulled out the floral pages. So I'm going to use some of those as well today. And I have got my page here as well. If you remember, I've completely pulled my journal apart, and I did think I was going to re-put it back together, but I think what I'm going to do with the bind is I'm going to actually make it into a book. So I'm going to have like a plate down, and then I'm going to sew it in. So let's get cracking. I've also got some old lace that I've picked up, and just everything in the colour scheme that I want. Oh, and an old picture. It's a frame out of one of my card topper packs that I have acquired over the last few years that I've been journaling. So is that, no, that's not the right size. So I've got lots of pieces of this paper. What I do with wallpaper samples is I just kind of cut them to a size that I can manage, and I've got them all in a folder together. So these are kind of scrapbook paper size, and then I've got a big one over there as well. So we've got the page, and I'm just going to glue the background on, and I am going to use it as a background as is, because we're going to add to it. So I'm just going to put some glue on. Let me just check. Yep, we're in this shot. Put lots of glue on the back of the page. Do love this glue. It just gives good coverage because it's quite a wide thing of glue. And I'm just going to line that up with the edges. Making sure it's all stuck down, and then I'm just going to cut off the excess. Snipping off the excess. Where have we gone? And I'll add that to my scrap straw, which is just under my desk. So that will come, because we're all using kind of loads of us are using book pages and stuff. We really are upcycling as we go. So this is just reusing wallpaper as scrapbook paper or journaling paper. I love a wallpaper sample. I think I've mentioned it before. I just go into the Range or Homebase or B&Q, and I just take about a metre of any that I like the look of. So on this page, what I want to have is a pocket of some descript that I'm going to use these pages to make something out of as well. So I'm going to cover the pocket in the same design. Oh, it's like it's made for it. So I'm going to cover the envelope in the same design as the book page. I'm just licking the envelope down because actually I just want the rectangle really. And I could just use the book page and just glue a rectangle on. But what I want is that extra little oomph of a pocket. And I just think envelopes are great for creating pockets. You can cut varying sides. And I don't know, it just works. So I'm just going to put loads of glue on this envelope. And quite like the kind of buttercuppy flower that's on the page. So I'm just going to check the buttercups are at the top, and I'm going to stick my envelope down, making sure it's on the page and all pressed down nicely. Okay, I'm just going to trim off the bottom. Okay, and then at this top bit, I'm actually going to bring round the detail. So I'm going to kind of not fussy cut, I'm just going to give it a bit of a kiss cut around. I don't want to cut it all out because I want to keep kind of the pocket element of it. So I'm just kiss cutting it round. And I chose an envelope that matches some of the colours that are in the paper. I've mentioned it before, the scrap store in Gloucester has just a shelf of boxes of envelopes. You can just help yourself to however many you want. And I'm guessing they've come from card shops or something, because sometimes they're really brightly coloured, particularly if you go just after Christmas, and other times they're a little plainer. Now I'm going to take that stem off, but I'm going to keep the leaf because that leads nicely up to that corner. There you go. So again, and I got out my pack of these metallic markers. So I just keep stuffing these Chinese takeaway tubs. Now you've got this gold, and I struggle with gold because they tend to have like a greeny undertone, and what I want is a yellowy gold. And I've all my gold pens, I went through them yesterday just looking and trying them all out on paper, and they've all got that little bit of a greeny undertone, which is fine for this because there's green in the paper. But if you know of a gold pen that is a gold pen and it's actually got a yellowy gold rather than a greeny gold, let me know in the comments below, because I'm always on the lookout for a yellowy gold, not a greeny gold marker. And annoyingly, they are all mostly got this green undertone to them. But that's okay for now. It works with this paper. It doesn't work with all the papers, but it does with this one. So I'm just bringing that round the outside, round the outside. Just covering it up. I'm just going to come around the top here. Yeah, just coming up and round. And just coming around. It doesn't overly matter that I've gone over the edges a bit. That's still okay. And just giving it that gold edge. In fact, the good thing about these Giotti markers, if you get them before they dry, you can just take off the excess. There you go. There you go. Just coming around. Now I'm going to do something a little bit fancy with the lace. This will either work or it'll be an absolute disaster. But let's have a go. So I'm going to just frill the lace around this pocket so that it gives it a little bit of a lacy bling. Sorry, because I've gone over the edge, I've now gone over the edge on the whole thing, so I've done it on purpose. There you go. Okay. So I've got this very pale lemony yellow, so it's quite a match for some of the colours on this page. And what I want to do, and as I say, this will either work or it won't, is I want to kind of almost pleat behind. It might not work. Let's just have it. Okay. Let's have it coming out like that. What else have I got? Let's have a look lace wise. No, we're going to go with this. So what am I going to do is I'm going to cut a couple of lengths, similar length. It's all an experiment. And turning the pocket over, I think I'm going to have one coming up like that, and then one, if you can just see where that bottom of that flower is, one coming up from there, so that you've got like a lacy background behind the envelope. So as we've discovered, oh, apologies, double-sided tape is really the best thing for sticking lace and fabric down. So here we go. I'll put one line there. Okay. I did have a little wander around. So I've been into school this morning. I'm not a teacher anymore, but I've helped in my friend who is an art textiles teacher just get her room ready for September. It had gotten a little bit of a pickle and she just needed some help rearranging. So this morning I've been sorting fabrics by colour, which is totally my thing. I love sorting things by colour. Yeah, so I've helped her this morning. Hopefully she found that really helpful to have someone in to give her a hand. And keep an eye out because I am going to post a video of a project that I'm working on with her for her new GCSE students that are starting this year. So I'm going to work alongside her with this project, and I'm going to do my project at home based on the objectives she's given the kids or the lessons she's given the kids, and then I'm going to upload some videos that hopefully the kids will find helpful. I'm just going to stick a little bit of extra tape on varying bits here, just to make sure it is all stuck down. Because I don't want to lose the pocket element when we stick it on the page. It just will break up the kind of the repeat of the pattern and just give it another little element of texture. So I'm just going to, I might actually do this with these scissors. These scissors are my newest scissors, so they cut fabric quite okay at the moment. I'm sure it won't be long before they're as blunt as my other scissors that I use for paper. I do have fabric scissors that I keep specifically for fabric. But when you're journaling, you're kind of doing your mixed media thing, aren't you? Oh, I shouldn't have cut that round. Not sure I like that being round, but hey ho. We can always add a little bit more. Let's put that back. We can glue that down back there, and let's just come straight up. Yeah, I wanted that as a straight edge and I just got scissor happy. Right, let's come back to our page then, and we are going to stick this down here, and you can already see it kind of pops. I'm going to be really annoying, and I'm going to re-stick that bit of lace because that's going to annoy me that it's not, and I'll use the lace that I've just torn off for something else later on. There we go. Right, better. So we're going to have that lacy pocket there, and you can see already it's already added a little bit of depth and another element to the page. So I've got my splodge. I've talked about this before. This is just a mix of Marvin glue, which is a thick PVA, and clear PVA. So it just is quite a sticky, strong glue, and I'm just gonna coat the back of the envelope. If I hadn't put the lace on, I'd just use my glue stick, to be fair, but because I've put the lace on, I want something that's actually going to hold it all down. So coming round to the back, trying to get in. And I have tried kind of the more expensive, like the decoupage glue, the decoupage, or the Mod Podge. And I do have Mod Podge. I just think for what it costs, actually, PVA works just as well most of the time. I use PVA if I'm doing napkins or anything like that. It works just as well. And it's a fraction of the cost. So I'm actually going to bring that up a little. So we've got the lace. There we go. So we've upcycled an envelope. We've upcycled some wallpaper. We've used some lace. I know it wasn't upcycled. And then I've got this lovely frame that I want to have kind of on the page. And I was umming and ahhing, what shall I put in the frame? And I've got some old napkins, some ladies' cotton handkerchiefs that I thought, let's have a go at using one of them. So there's a nice yellow one here, and seeing if we can't upcycle that image and pop it in to the frame. So there's a nice pink one, it's a nice purple one, but because we're going with yellows, let's upcycle that and just have the image from the napkin framed. I quite like that. That's quite cute. And I'm just going to get a piece of board. Hopefully it's the right size. Oh, perfect. So this is just artboard. I've got varying off scraps, bits and bobs that you can pick up. So again, they're from the scrap store, and they've just got this big box that you just go and pick up the sizes you want. I do cut them with craft knives. So I'm just going to... So I'm actually going to upcycle this napkin as a piece of, not napkin, handkerchief, as a piece of art. I think I found the handkerchiefs maybe for £1 or something in a different charity shop. I have been to some of the charity shops around here today after I finished helping my friend, and not a lot in them at the moment. I think charity donations are down. I did go and have a look for some old photographs or postcards, and there wasn't really anything around, so I'm just going to snip that off. I'm going to try and not knock the camera anymore, because that's annoying me, never mind annoying you. Just going to snip off the rolled hem, just because it'll create a bit of bulk. Just snipping it. So my very final Temu order has arrived today, and I had done this order a while ago because I needed a new laptop bag, and they had the bright colourful ones. I could have ordered one on eBay, but I liked the ones that were on Temu. So I'm just going to, so that's hopefully, touch wood, I mean, I can't say I'll never order from there again, but for a while, I'm staying off it. So let's see how that goes. It's a bit of a summer challenge, although, to be fair. I'm just going to put a thin layer of the splodge around the back of the napkin. Now, this isn't napkin, I keep saying napkin, handkerchief. It doesn't need to be neat because I'm actually going to stick it down. So I'm just going to bring the edges in. You'll see I've snipped the edges. My hands are a little bit dirty now because of the gold pen, but again, because we're doing it on the back, I'm not too fussed, because I'll pop this in a frame. Let's, how cute is that? Picking up all sorts of things off my desk. Let's just put something down, because I really don't want to get that really dirty. So I'm just going to put a piece of white paper down. I can then press this down on. How cute is that? That is really cute. And then with the frame over the top, that's adorable. So let's just put some splodge around the edge, around the outside, around the outside. Okay, just pop that on there. Oh, that is adorable. I really like that, making sure it's kind of middled. Let's bring our page back. And then we're going to have that kind of there on the page. So you can see already we've built up quite a few layers. We've got the back page, we've got the lace, we've got the pockets. So this could be upcycled, this could be layered. So we're covering quite a few of the prompts we've already done. And yeah, I mean, that wallpaper in itself is quite maximalist, because let's be honest. And I do have quite a similar wallpaper in my living room, but it's a blue, kind of blue William Morris-esque type design. As I've said previously, I am a bit of a maximalist. I do love, have I put that on back to front? Where is the others? I have. Oh, you irritating woman. Put the napkin on back to front. Oh, it's going to have to stay now. Have we got another yellow one? Blue, yellow. Look, stuck it on back to front. Will it come off without ripping? No. Okay, we're just going to have to go with it as is. Plum. That's me chatting and trying to multitask, and let's be honest, water plum. But do you know what we can do? We can get the alcohol markers out and we can colour in some of the detail so it doesn't look too much like I've stuck it on back to front. I can't believe I've just done that. I was so excited about using it, so I'm just going to colour in just with some white alcohol markers. They're just the twin marker markers. Just going over some of those white threads that are on the back. Just re-picking out the colour that I've stuck on the other side. I'm sure whoever hand sewed, well, I don't know if they're hand sewn, but whoever sewed this will be having kittens at the fact I've stuck it on back to front. But the beauty is we can just go over the white edges and we can just make it look like it was always meant to be like this. And that's the beauty. I put in my journal, didn't I, when we did bows, I put what crafting means to me, and one of the things I said was it allows me to make mistakes, and then just find creative ways of covering up those mistakes, as we're doing here. Just going over the threads. You can still see that they are threads, but it's just going over them a little. And I think I'm going to use this really, it's like a really peachy, what's it called, fruit pink. I'm just going to add that extra layer of colour over the whites. Now this will either be an absolute disaster or work. I think it's working. And then we'll just come over the bow. Just bring in some of that peach into the middle of the flowers. There we go, that looks perfect. So we've got our pocket, and now we've got to think of something to put in the pocket. So I'm going to put that to one side with all of those, because I'm just going to put a weight on it to hold it down to dry. So I've just put a weight on it. I'm just going to put it to one side and let that dry. And I'm going to come to these, okay? So I am going to cut out some of these bees that I'm going to have on the page, and I want to choose a couple of these that I think would go really well. And I love that, the Rudbeckia. And that's another quite nice. I might have that one. That's an Amaryllis Belladonna. Be warned. And there's lots of lovely yellow ones. It's a crocus. That could work. But let's have the Rudbeckia. It's got campanula on the back. I just realised I'm quite dark, aren't I? Does that make life a little easier? Or is that a bit too glary? And I've got, where's my old book page? Just got a piece of, this is just cardstock card, and I'm just going to stick it down onto the card. I do this really just to strengthen it, because I don't want to lose bits of it, and I'm going to make it a bit like a bookmark. That can go in the top. And then what I might do is later on I might come back to it and go, oh, do you know what, I've got some yellow pressed flowers, and I have got some yellow flowers growing in the garden actually that would work really well as pressed flowers, and I might add them to the pocket at a later date. But let's just for now cut this round. I'm going to make it, like I said, like a little bookmark. And I haven't filled, so if I was doing a full journal, I would have 2 pages, but I haven't filled, so I'm just going to put 1 page that I wanted to give away or I wanted to sell. I haven't ever sold them, but if I was brave enough to put them out there to sell, then I probably would fill the pockets with like journal paper, little miniature journals that they could journal in. I'd put stuff in some of the pockets, but I think for the purpose of this challenge, leaving some of the pockets empty allows me to come back to it at a later date, which is quite cool as well. I am cutting this before really the glue's had time to dry. And I would normally just put it to one side and let it dry while I do something else, but I'm kind of making things up as I go along a bit here. Like, I've chosen some bits and bobs that I thought would go in with the page, and I thought, you know what, let's just see how the mood takes us when you're putting it together. So I'm just, yeah, as I said, making some of this up as I go along. Which is trial and error, isn't it? And that is what helps quiet my brain, because my brain's focused on this, not on everything else that's going on in the world or my life at the time. Yesterday we have a little craft group here in Morton on a Monday, More Art in Marsh, and we had the last one before September, and lots of people brought their little beings with us. So I just took my stamps along and an ink pad and some paper and some strips of paper for the kids to do, and I taught them all how to make the little paperclip birds. We're talking from 4-year-olds up to, I think the oldest is 13 now. And they loved it. They loved just sitting there and just, I mean, they only did it for about half an hour, and then they decided because it was raining they'd go out and run around in the rain, which again is fine. But it was so lovely to have everybody there and bring their kids. We don't normally have kids there because it is a place where we can just all go and quiet our brains a little. But it was really nice. So it was nice. We all just bring along whatever craft we're working on at the time. Sometimes we will do something all together, and we'll do, like, we did some bubble printing the other week, and that was quite fun. You've got a group of adults sitting there with bowls full of water and bubble mixture and ink and paint, creating bubble mixes. That was a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed that, just making mess. But yeah, no, so it was really nice just to go along and share with them a skill that I've learned doing this, and the kids just thought it was amazing. And by showing them how to do it, then they were going off and showing their adults who were with them, mostly mums, in fact all mums, how to make them as well. And then other people in the group were having a go, and it was just nice. It's nice to share a skill. My best friend she's got a degree in fine art. She was an art teacher. She's currently not, but like, her skill set has been invaluable. And she doesn't journal. This isn't her bag, but she has given me some amazing hints and tips on layout and kind of colour and projects to do, which it's that sharing of knowledge and being able to teach each other without any competition going on or any bad feelings. So for now I'm just going to pop that in the page. I have got just this little bit of paper. I think I'm going to just fold. That can go in the page. I might stick some, because that will just give that a background. Just this little information about annuals and biannuals. And July, keep all climbers well supported, continue shining new shoots of vigorous climbers. prune and feed summer flowering climber. So I might actually just pop that in as well. So it's just a little bit of info on your plants. I do love my plants. And we've got the marigold fairy. I think she's called the calendula fairy actually. And let's come back to our page. So by picking out that yellow, I've got varying things that I've got. So now we'll just slide those in. Just got a little bit of paper in there that can be used. We've got a flower, we've got a little bit of information. Just have those in there. There we go. So you can just about see the lace, but it is there. And then last thing, I've got some of this paper. So it's like a mottled scrapbook paper. I don't know how I did that. I think I must have borrowed someone's scissors at some point. And I'm just going to create my little tag. What number is this? 23. I'm working slightly ahead. So today's number is not today's date, which is always very confusing. So 23, and it's up. Cycle. Up. Let's just bring that roughly there, and I want it almost there. And as I've got this glue out, I'm just going to put a little bit along that edge. Just going to have it tucked there behind the pocket. I'll probably go around the edge of this flower with the gold pen and round the edge of my tag with the gold pen. And then just before we finish today, let's grab yesterday's page back. Because if you remember, I was sticking on the back. So this is yesterday's page. Just move stuff out the way. So I'm just going to pop yesterday's page down. I've got my lined paper. I'm going to stick on the back of that, and then I might, do you know what, I might actually have that coming out over the edge there, and I'll just kiss cut that so it comes out over the edge. So we've got another piece of artwork there, and there is today's upcycled hanky, envelope, wallpaper, calendars, diaries, gardening journals, just some upcycled paper that was out of a, well, you know, those posh writing paper packs that you used to get years ago. And there's today's page. So nice long one. Sorry about that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.